Okay, Tom or Mike, whoever's going to go down and look at this torch at Industrial Steel, hopefully this will help you out a little bit. When you open the door to the machine, you'll see a motion control board like this. At the bottom are all the inputs. So once you've opened the Mach 3 software, which Doug or Tony should be able to show you, when you open it, it'll look like this. Make sure it's open before the next part. So once that's open, you'll just open the door on it and look at the motion control board and push some of the buttons. So when you push the button, you'll see these LEDs come on. When these red LEDs come on, it's telling you obviously that you're making that input. So I think input 0 is e-stop, input 1 is cycle start, input 2 is feed hold. That would make input 3 torch light, input 4 torch cut, and input 5 turn off any of the torch outputs. And then you have the outputs up here, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I just want to be sure that we have the wires in the spot. I thought we did. I had this written down and I seem to have lost that stuff. But 1, 2, and 3 here, I thought I skipped 3 and put on output 4 because input 3 was tied to some other internal logic that I couldn't really change as far as the spindle is controlled. So we can change the wiring if we need to, but we shouldn't really have to as long as you take note of what outputs are wired. Then it's just a matter of logic. So when you go to Mach 3, the next thing we're going to have to do is go to Operator, go to Visual Basic Script Editor, File, Open, find the macro pump. It's kind of self-explanatory. If an input is active, then activate the signal for that output. It should be latched. Once the output comes on, it should stay on until something deactivates it. So you see here I have input 3, 4, and 5, and I've got outputs 1, 2, and 4. So to turn the torch on, we're turning on, we push button for input 3, and we activate the signal to turn on output 1 and 2, which should then in turn turn on the relays there. For output 1 and 2, we just have to make sure, if you remember, we had high pressure, low pressure, cutting pressure. So we have to align these to what the logic is at the machine as well. So you'll see here, these two come on, they light it. Once it's lit, if they want to cut, then they'll push the button for input 4. Input 4 then will deactivate input 1 and activate the signal for 4. So maybe I should just, this works like any other Word or Microsoft package. I can just cut this and then paste this down here. Perhaps that was a problem with the logic, is that it turned off output 1 before it turned on input 2. So essentially, if it goes through the logic sequentially, then it's going to activate signal 2 and 4 and then deactivate 1, which is perhaps one issue with the logic you might want to look at. So really, just marry up what the inputs are to whatever the outputs need to be as far as the relays are controlled by the outputs. And then this down here is just kind of a redundancy in that the button that for input 1 turns on. Basically, it does an OEM button, and this OEM button is 1000, which is cycle start, and this is feed hold. So I'm trying to make it a faster response time for their feed hold. I don't know there's much I can really do with that one. So yeah, I need you to look at the macro pump. So when you get that logic down, just go to File, Save, and then hold on a minute. You're not supposed to eat in there. I'm trying to record something, so so then the next thing we're going to have to change are some M codes, and we'll do that the same way. So first, let's just click on diagnostics. So when you're down here and you've got that macro pump changed, if you then push the buttons on the outside of the machine, you'll see the logic down here hopefully happen the way you thought it should as far as the outputs coming on. So we need to change some M codes as far as so we can program the machine through M codes to turn on and off the torch the way we want. So again, you'll go to the VB script editor and open file, and you're concerned with M110, M111, and M112. So M110 is just activate the two relays that need to come on to light the torch, and then as a redundancy deactivate the signal that's for cutting, so they can toggle between cutting and lighting the torch. And then when you're done with that, just save it. It'll go right back, save into the place it needs to be anyway. So then we'll open file, M111, and this should be cut. So then here you see, activate the signals for the outputs that we need to do the cutting, and then turn off the one that was for lighting. And once we know for sure what that is, this should be pretty simple logic. And then just go to file, save that, and one last one, open file, go to M112, and this should just be turn everything off. So deactivate all the signals that have anything to do with cutting. So if you want to add anything, this works like any other words. You can highlight it, copy it, and then right click paste. If you want to change output number, then you can just go here 2 or 4 or 5, whatever output it is that has anything to do with the logic you're concerned with. Then you're done with that, just save it. So then we've got our M codes changed. Now I can click on this MDI line, use the keyboard, type in M110, I hit enter, you'll see the outputs come on here. Alright, that makes sense. Click on that MDI line again, type in M111, hit enter, you'll see those outputs come on the way the logic stated, and then click M112, hit enter, and everything turns off. So it's just a matter of a little bit of logic to get this thing going, and if I were closer, I would help you out and get it done, but unfortunately I'm not. Let them know that I'm working on getting their mirroring function figured out. It's not as easy as just having a button currently. If they want to mirror something, they can do it. They could just go up to this scale value here and type in -1, hit enter. So if I regenerate that tool path, you'll see it mirrored it around the x-axis. Same thing for the y. If I put -1 there, it would do it around the y as well. Regenerate that tool path, and there you go, it mirrored it around that. So it is possible. What I'm trying to come up with is a button that they can just push to get the job done. So I'll send this video to Tony as well, and hopefully between the two of you, I'm sure you guys can get it figured out, but maybe the both of you together will make for a more understandable conversation. Alright, thank you.